Last year, this gentleman had the one of the highest-rated hour specials on Comedy Central. Very happy to have him back here at Go Bananas. How about a round of applause for Drew Hastings, everyone?
Give it up for my friend Tim Harmston right there. Funny man. Nice to be here. You'll have to excuse me if my voice and I'm kind of sniffly tonight. I went to the doctor. I thought I had the flu, and they said, well, you have allergies. And I said, well, that's ridiculous. I'm 50-something years old. I've never had allergies in my life. He says, well, no, as you, for some reason, there's something that's in the environment that you're not reacting well to. And I said, you think it's the fucking Obama administration? But he thought it might be pollen. Now, I am not convinced. I've got some notes up here with me this evening because A, I have the memory of a crack baby, and B, because I'm trying out some new stuff, and I just completely forget it if I don't. I was today in Mason. I don't get into Cincinnati very often. I was up in Mason on the Mason-Montgomery Road, and I saw where I wanted to get a sandwich, but I don't know my way around suburbs. I don't like suburbs. I grew up in the suburbs, and I have a saying, cul-de-sac, one way in, no way out. And I was out there on this Mason-Montgomery Road, and I could see the Chick-fil-A where I wanted to go get the sandwich, but I didn't know how to get there. And there was all these little stores around there, so I parked at this one store that, I don't know what it was called, I think it was called Simulation of Life. I parked there, and I thought, well, I'm just gonna walk over there. You cut across some mounds of grass and some other delineations that the developers do to, well, this is my complex here. And I was walking, and people were looking at me. And I was like, what kind of fucking suburbs? They don't have any sidewalks. I'm walking, and this little girl kind of was looking at me like, Mommy, why is that man walking? The sunball will burn him. And oh, Mommy, it's horrible, horrible. And I just kept expecting it, a voice at some point to just go, and cut. But it never did. But I did get to the Chick-fil-A, and they have the plumpest little sandwiches there. Anyway, very nice to be here. I was driving into Cincinnati from my farm last night. It was dark, and I was coming up Route 131. 131. And it's a dark road, and I don't know if you ever drive and you see some lights in the distance, and you think, oh, it's the next town up ahead. But it wasn't the next town up ahead, because as I got closer, I saw that the lights were sparks. They were sparks coming off the bumper of a car that was overloaded, and it was hitting the asphalt periodically. And as I got up behind this car, I could see what it was. It was a mid-1980s station wagon, you know, with the rusted, dented, you know, with the wood panels, what we call a beater, you know, a beater. It was one of those cars that you would have thought would have been the perfect candidate for the Cash for Clunkers program if that program had worked anything like it was supposed to have. So as I get up, I see why the car is overloaded and sparking on the ground, because there are two used mattresses strapped to the top of it. And when I say used, I mean used. There were urine stains everywhere. There were sexual exploits, years of what looked like paintball games menstrual paintball games had been, I don't know, maybe it was coffee. Let's say it was coffee. It could have been coffee. But how somebody spills coffee in the center of a mattress over and over again, I'll never know. But maybe that's the way it is. But that's the way it looked. It looked like the whole thing was so... It looked like the Shroud of Turin if Satan had designed it, is what it looked like. So I was so taken aback by this forensic artwork that I failed to notice that in the back window of the station wagon, in that seat that faces backwards, facing me, were two little girls, about 9 years old. They had little blonde Dutch haircuts, and they just looked grim. They kind of had circles under their eyes, and they just looked very glum. They looked like if they could have had any wish for Christmas at all, it would have been an Amber Alert. And so this was a little unsettling to me. And I decided to pass this car. And as I passed the car, I looked over at the parents. The dad was in his 40s, overweight, a double chin, could have been a venom sac. And the wife was a rather attractive woman, blonde, but her roots were so bad it looked like she was wearing a yarmulke. But what really struck me about this tableau was that on the cracked and faded dashboard of this beat-up car was a brand new, shiny Garmin GPS unit. And I thought, son of a bitch, isn't it a little late in life to be looking for direction at this point? And as I punched the gas and pushed off towards Cincinnati, I thought, son of a bitch, it's good to be back in Ohio. That's what I know. Have you spent a long time in Ohio, ma'am? Yeah? 12 years from where? Where did you come from? Michigan. Do you like it here? Do you? Okay, it's a nice town. What do you do here? A teacher. Like in public school? Public high school? Ooh. Okay. Now, that's good. There are people that are glad you've survived that. Okay. In where? Oh, in Mason. Oh, that's good. So you know where these places were I was talking about. I didn't know which one was the high school. Everything was behind mounds of grassy knolls. You know, those were all cornfields. There wasn't a fucking hill anywhere up there. Either that or the earth is heaving and we don't know about it. I don't know what the deal is. Anyway, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Drew Hastings. Actually, my full name is W. Drew Hastings. I dropped the W a few years ago because I didn't want to live up to it. That's a lot to live up to. That W. Drew Hastings. It has expectation. J. Paul Getty, F. Scott Fitzgerald, E. Pluribus Unum, whatever. But that was my mother's doing. My mother's English and very, she still tries to rule me. My mother lives in Florida, but she still tries to rule me like a colony from afar, often. What are you doing? So, anyway, I was in a restaurant a few weeks ago, and I put in an order for some food, and I sat there. I was the only guy sitting there waiting for my order. And they finished my order, and the kid says, "Order up for Haskins." And I just sat there. And I said, Haskins, order." And I just sat there. And he says, "Is this your order?" I said, "Yes, but my name is Hastings, not Haskins." Hastings, Haskins, whatever. So, when I was 7 years old, my father split. Took off one day, get some cigarettes, whatever, never came back. His name was Drew Hastings also. And when he split, he remarried immediately, and his new wife and him had a young baby boy. And she said to him, we're gonna name this little baby here Drew Hastings. I want you to forget you ever had another wife and kid. This is the real Drew Hastings, not that other one. So by the time I'm 8, there are 3 Drew Hastings. Me, the one who left me, the one who replaced me. So is it any wonder I don't want to be called Haskins? So that's why I have a thing about my name. So all comedy comes from pain. We will see that as we go along. At least in my theory. Anyway, moving along here. I got jeans. Those of you who know me know I generally wear a suit on stage. I was excited to find jeans that fit me. It is tough. I wear 36, 36, which you wouldn't think would be that hard to find, but it was very difficult. I've been to store after mall, and all they ever have are stacks upon stacks. For some reason, I see a lot of 27, 36. You've got to have full-blown AIDS to wear a 27, 36, ladies and gentlemen. So, I just think there's, I don't know. I got in an argument with somebody the other day. He was saying, well, you know, I work 40 hours and they never give me any overtime. They always make sure they cut me off at 40 hours. And I would like to give overtime. And I said, well, I don't understand the concept of overtime. Now, I've never worked, but I don't understand why you would work 8 hours and then get 50% more money starting the 9th hour when you're obviously not as fresh as when you started the fucking day. In fact, if anything, you should get 50% less money because you're now tired and really just want to go home. Why in God's name would somebody pay you time and a half? It makes no fucking sense, ladies and gentlemen. That's why this country's in the shape it is. I'll tell you something. I will tell you something. I found this today. This is a little hammer. And this hammer right here, to me, represents what has gone wrong with this country. Say you're a hammer company, and all you want to do in America is make a hammer and sell the hammer. But you can't, because you immediately, an ethnic group stops you and says, well, the hammer is too light brown. It's not really representative of America. And then a woman's group gets together and says, you know what, why does this have to be shaped like a penis? Then an animal rights group sees that it has a head and a claw and wants it to be treated with the same rights as a human being. Then a parents group wants the head made of foam so it can't hurt anybody, and the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Nails wants it banned outright. So you finally have to take this thing and just say, fuck this, call it a paperweight and let people figure out maybe what they can use it for. That's what's wrong with this country, ladies and gentlemen, right there. So take your hammers and throw them through the fucking window of some place. Oh, never mind. That's later in the notes, and that's after I get people riled up. I think that was for much later in the show, so anyway. I'm very upset about, I saw the findings for Shamu. Shamu, I did not know this whale that killed a woman down in Florida about a month ago. I mean, maybe you're aware of this. He grabbed this woman and he pulled her underwater and swam around and drowned her, broke her neck. And it just came out recently, I didn't know this, that the same whale had killed 2 other people. Did you know this? You knew this. They said, well, yeah, up in Canada he killed somebody, and then we brought him down to like Denver, Des Moines, to another place, and then he killed somebody there. But this was an accident. He's a really good animal. And I said, wait, and I thought, wait a minute, remind me again, what kind of whale is Shamu? A fucking killer whale, that's right. Kill Shamu, ladies and gentlemen, kill Shamu. Maybe we don't have an electric chair big enough. Throw a toaster in a fucking pool. Something. It's just all going to shit. Anyway. We'll move along. I used to think I was different because I insist on using wooden shoe trees. I think using anything else is ridiculous. And I think for a long time up till this week that I am different from other people, really, because I use wooden shoe trees and everybody else uses plastic shoe trees. And see, it occurred to me that really nobody uses shoe trees anymore. And I'm the only one who's using shoe trees, let alone wooden ones. So I'm weirder than I thought. Anyway. Do you use shoe trees, sir? No, I don't. You don't. And that's why your shoe is misshapen like that. And it's obvious you supinate to the outside. You like my shoes? Well, thank you very much. Do you wear a 13? A 12? Well, maybe you could stuff some legislation in the toe or something and maybe make it fit. What do you do for a living, Mask? Are they Beatle boots? Do you like the Beatles? Do you love the Beatles? Yes, they are kind of like Beatles boots. But see, these are better, I think, because they zip way down to the bottom. Men's boots don't do that. They only do that with women's boots. Women have always had the advantage of that, and I found those. They do that for men's boots now. And I was very excited about that. Have you ever tried to get cow manure off of suede? It's very difficult. How are you? Those are nice little odd stockings. Thank you. Yeah. Do they go? Are they stop like here, or are they like panty? They go all the way up. Okay. So you didn't tell me what you do for a living.
Graphic design.
What do you graph or design?
Occasion reports and logos.
Logos.
Advertising. Just all kinds of stuff.
At the end of the day, if you say that was a job well done, what did you do? At the end of the day, if you say, God damn it, that was a job well done, what is it you did?
I came up with a design that the client liked, and because of the design, ordered more work.
That's good. So you get something done there. Are you in that business too?
Not anymore.
Not anymore? You were in it, but you
I was in advertising.
were in advertising. Advertising is kind of, can be very misleading. It's the art of misleading, really. Isn't it, really, in a way?
Subliminal seduction.
Subliminal seduction, as opposed to the overt kind of shit that I do. No. Give me 5 minutes, I'll make you wet. Could be the allergies. Anyway. But the that's interesting we talk about advertising, because I look at the subtext of advertising to get a pulse as the zeitgeist culturally as to where this country is going. And a perfect example of that is, and I'm not a prude by any means, but the prime-timeization, the mainstreaming of KY lubricant advertising on television is a perfect example of this. And you've seen these advertisements. The man is in bed, and when I put it on, it gets all tingly. And then the woman says, and when I put it on, it gets all warm. And then when we mix it together, it's a big, sticky mess. Trust me. It's like pouring maple syrup into an Easter basket. But more importantly than that, the mainstreaming of KY lubricant is really indicative of the declining work ethic in this country. Am I right? Nobody wants to work for it anymore. And that's where, in a way, that's part of the downside in a long, subtle way of the advent of women's rights, is that it really is. Nobody wants to work for it anymore. It used to be called foreplay. I want to have sex with this woman, so I need to work to achieve that goal. I've got to use suggestive sexual talk. I need to do nipple action. I need to take the time to find out her erogenous zones. Now it's just whap. Well, what do you mean you're not in the mood? You're wet. But you're wet. Whap. Oh, you're even wetter. It's horrible. And we don't know what this stuff is doing to the environment. The runoff, groundwater contamination. You know? But there's so much of that. It's like simulation of life. Nobody wants to do what it takes to do the thing. They just, I'll tell you, I've been having sex 35 years. And it occurred to me, looking at the history of sex in America over the sexual landscape, I'll tell you what I miss. I miss pubic hair on women. Pubic hair has slowly, and when I say I miss pubic hair, I don't mean I miss 1970s can't tell where your legs meet your torso pubic hair. I guess I mean I miss some pubic, a garnish of a sprig, something. But pubic hair, really, when you look at it over the last 30 years, has gone the way of the Amazonian rainforest. It's been slashed and cut back and dissipated to get to the resources underneath or better grazing lands, whatever it is they're cutting away the rainforest for. And my girlfriend does this. My girlfriend is into she's completely denuded or Roundup ready or whatever it is. And I tell her, I say, you know, I gotta be honest with you, I do not find that romantic. You look like you've been prepped for surgery. You look ill, honey. But more disconcerting than that is that I tell her, you know, if you've studied any ecology or environment and you've seen what happens when you cut away big swaths of jungle canopy and underbrush and you cut it all away and completely, a lot of people start moving in. That's what happens. It becomes a population center, more or less. So anyway. But we do, there's so many things where I think we simulate life. I was in a Target store not long ago and I'm so blown away when I go into one of these Target stores. There's just so much brightness and stuff and just crap. And I was just enamored with this huge display of Glade plug-in air fresheners. And you know, they make hundreds of different scents for these things. And they were touting their newest scent, you know, and they predominantly market Glade plug-ins to women. And they had the whole news, a pumpkin pie scent, guaranteed to make your whole home smell like fresh homemade pumpkin pie. And I thought, what kind of bullshit message is that to send to women? You know, maybe that's indicative in some very small way that feminism didn't entirely work in this country. I mean, what did feminism do? Had women get up out of the house, throw off the bonds of oppression, go out, get a job, compete with men so they can get a paycheck, so they can buy a Glade plug-in air freshener that smells exactly like the pumpkin pie they would have made if they'd just been a stay-at-home mom. I don't know. All I know is my girlfriend made a homemade pumpkin pie, and I thought the air freshener tasted better. I gotta be honest. So. And what do you do for a living, sir? Engineer? Civil, hydro, mechanical, electrical? I was going to say that one eventually. I know nothing about that stuff. You don't either? Yeah. That's got to be rewarding to a degree, isn't it? Isn't it? Now, see, that's interesting. It's not graphic design. Well, that takes a modicum of creativity, sir. And most people know that engineers aren't very creative people. Right? Okay. Is he creative? Really? Oh, he's musical. What do you play? Guitar, keyboards? What kind of keyboards? Roland. Wow. Hammond B3, my favorite instrument in the world. Yeah, you ever look at the insides of one of those? The engineering that went into the making of the B3? Let's just end this show. I'll take you out the car. I got a pamphlet. I want to show you some. The tone wheel, the model from 57 to 60. That's not important anyway. And that's not even in here anyway. But that's good. Okay.
Hear about the farm.
Hear about the farm?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure that's in here somewhere. Enough of this social issue horse shit. Let's hear some goddamn farm material. See, they always want to put you in a box. They always want to put you in a box. Everybody does. I do have a farm, for those of you who don't know, and it may be obvious to most of you just looking at me. I'm a farmer. I'm a tiller of the soil, whatever. People even ask me now, I've been out there farming in Hillsboro, Ohio for about 4 years, and people still ask me, they say, well, what made you think at 50 years old you could leave Hollywood, which is where I was living, and suddenly start farming? And I say, well, I'd done well with chia pets. Technically, those are livestock and agriculture. It still scares the crap out of me out there. I've been out there. I still don't get used to it. Where I live, the sun goes down. It is pitch black. At night, a possum walking through a cornfield sounds exactly like three men with an axe. Yeah. And what kind of owl makes this sound? You're gonna die. I like to think that I fit in out there now. But I don't. People stare at me. I'm out working, I'll be out, just like looking over the lands and stuff. And, and I asked a farmer, a friend of mine, Nathan Moots. He lives up the road, and he does beef cattle. You know them? You know the Moots family? Okay. And he comes over to help me sometimes. And I told him, I said, well, Nathan, I said, people just look at me out here like I'm a fish out of water. I don't fit in. He said, well, Drew, you want to fit in out here, you got to change up that look. Cut your hair. Get a damn flat top, plaid shirt, and some work boots. I said, I want to look like a farmer, not a lesbian. No offense to any farmers or lesbians or anybody who's reading Rita Mae Brown novels. So it's difficult. You ever spend any time farming? Your dad did? What did he farm? Greenville. Well, that's the county seat up there, right? The county seat. Yeah, just up there. Preble? No, that's not Preble. Dark. Yeah. Well, they call it Dark County now. I gotta remember that. That was kind of funny. Anyway, Greenville. What did he farm? Hogs? I bet he was in hogs up there, wasn't he? A lot of hog farming up there. He didn't talk about farming. No, most don't. Very secretive. Very, very. Huh? He was an artist and a farmer. How did he die, may I ask? He's still alive. Wow. Yeah, she's impressed too. Well, I'm sorry I insinuated. I was just assuming. I mean, you look old enough to be almost dead. I just thought it was a given your father was dead. But to be honest with you, but that's me. I have no social graces. Sometimes I was blown away when you said that he was still alive. So anyway, good for, I'm glad. I'm very glad he's alive, and I hope he lives another 10 years. But after that, your quality of life starts to go down, doesn't it? Now, is your father still living, ma'am?
Yes.
Yes, good. Okay. No, I would expect that because you don't look anywhere near as... You're the same age?
A year older.
Really? No, I would not have... You spent a lot of time in the sun, didn't you? No. Did you? Never mind. I'm just digging a huge hole. You see, at some point it's fun and cutesy, and then it just turns, well, why would he hurt their feelings like that? So, I don't even remember where we were going with this. Farming, we were farming. Nathan Moots. But there's a lot of stuff. I don't like to get my hands dirty. And that's the hard part of farming. I can't stand getting dirt on my hands or anything under my fingernails. I can't stand it. And so I spend all my time, I go out and I'll do something like I'll attach a PTO, and then I immediately have to run in and wash my hands and get all the shit off my hands. And then rubber gloves. Really? Those make your hands sweat. I don't like those. Huh? Yeah, probably. Well, I'll tell you what happened to me. I don't even like to talk about this. You get ailments out there, things, I don't even know what, virus, whatever. I had to go to a dermatologist. I got horrible, horrible growths all over my hands. I don't even like discussing it. He said they were something called calluses. I feel like the Elephant Man, I'll be honest with you. I tried to use a Dremel tool to get... It's like herpes on your hand. It's horrible. Have any idea what well water does to your highlights? I just had this done. You probably think it's out. I've been out bush hogging for weeks and my hair lightened up. This is actually called this is a color called summer pasture. They do it at Pump down here. As for Thaddeus. Anyway. How are you, sir?
Excellent.
Excellent. And this is your lovely wife. Hi, Mrs. Lovely Wife. And what do you do for a living, miss?
I'm in finance.
In finance? What kind of finance?
Parents are alive.
Your parents are alive? Very good. We're already starting off on a good foot. Yes. And what kind of finance do you do?
Analysis.
Analysis.
That's why I'm drinking.
Well, that's good. Because if it weren't for jobs like financial analysis, people wouldn't come to comedy clubs. Probably. You know what? If it was a fucking laugh a minute and wee, and you throwing your bra around the office, you wouldn't have any need to come here. You know, you don't really look like you even need a bra much, do you? I'm just kidding. No, that's good. That's good. That's good. I say that, I notice that because I don't like the big tip. I don't like that. And you'll probably be healthier too. It'd be better for your back and everything. So, be thankful for what little you've got. So, anyway, and I didn't mean to demean the missus. I wasn't by any means, denigrating. And what do you do? Really? Oh, okay. What do you do for a living?
I'm an
Airline pilot. Son of a bitch. Now that's amazing. That's an amazing job. I think they scrutinize you guys a little too fucking much. My personal opinion. I mean, that's a hard ass job to do. That is. Are you commercial?
Yes.
Commercial. Okay. All right. So, can you tell us any good stuff that we don't get to know?
No.
You can't. Okay. All right. Well, we'll leave it at that. But okay. You ever had any near misses? There's a lot of those we don't know about, aren't there? We don't even talk about them. Dive! Dive! Now, were you a pilot beforehand, like in military or anything like that?
Just out of college.
Out of college? They let you do that? You just come right out of Ivy Tech, whatever, and you head over to wherever. Get in the simulator, son. Well, you're pretty quick with that. Put him over there on the 767.
You'll notice I'm in the shadow.
You're in the shadow. Yeah.
Push back on purpose.
You push back. Okay. Well, we can back off. All right. Now, are you a pilot also? No. What do you do? Insurance. Insurance? What kind? Airline insurance.
Insure Shamu and a bunch of penguins.
You insure animals? Okay. He doesn't want to talk either. Shadow people. No, I know. It's supposed to be a joke, and I was supposed to go with it, but I couldn't go with it, sir. I'm sorry. That's not your fault. Maybe I just didn't make the leap. Oh, I wish this was a scripted one-man show, so I just wouldn't have these awkward fucking, and I just go. Okay, I'm at minute 44. Any questions at this point before we move along? Okay. I try to get my girlfriend to help me on the farm with chores and stuff, and she's worthless. She is. We get in fights about metabolism. I try to get her to help me out. I'm high-strung, kind of hyper. And my girlfriend is a complete slacker. If she walked any slower, she'd leave a mucus trail behind her. So, I was with her for 2 years, and then I left. I left. Things were going good with us, and I actually left her because I thought, well, this is going too good. Somehow I'm going to fuck this up. And I literally sat her down and said, I want to break up now while things are really good and we think fondly of each other. And I just want to go because nothing ever works. And I just left her, and she was just dumbfounded, and I was dumbfounded. And then 8 months later, I came to my senses, and I said, well, fuck, maybe we'll make it work. So then we got back together. And in the meantime, it was interesting. I was not with her for about 8 months, and my best friend would try to hook me up. You know, hey, well, Drew, if you think you want to start dating, I know a girl that I work with over here you might like. She's kind of got offbeat good looks. You want to... I don't want a girl with offbeat good looks. I want a girl with beat off good looks. I'm tired of the progressive insurance girl. So, and now I'm back with my girlfriend, and it's much better. And she's smart. She keeps me on the sane path when I go off on. She's very lucid. She's a very rational person. Keeps a copy of the Constitution in her purse to like read. Seriously, I mean, that's a very odd girl. And but we get along well. Like, yeah, we'll talk politics, and I was all upset, you know. And I was talking about, well, maybe what happens if this doesn't happen in this. You know, we may just end up in a situation where we have to, where this government has to be overthrown, or this or that. And she gets all upset and wants to break up with me. And I said, well, wait a minute, honey. First of all, when I talk about, you know, this isn't something I'm going to do next week. You've got to gather arms and form groups. You have to have meetings about this. Shit takes years. You know, and anyway, you're always wanting to do something as a couple. I don't know why you... But then she talks me down to earth. I'm like, okay, well, maybe we can just, all right, so we'll go, all right, I'll vote. So anyway. And now, you spent time on a farm? Never? Ever? Yes? Yeah? What kind of farm?
Friend's farm, but mostly dairy farm.
Mostly dairy farm. Oh, well, yeah, no money in dairy. I don't like those kind of cows. Those are Holsteins. They look like bovine Rorschach tests to me. You know, they just... I see jerseys? A Jersey cow? What kind of Jersey cow? Yeah, what the fuck you looking at? That's what I don't know. I don't like anything from Jersey. Was that what they were? The dairy cattle? They were Jerseys? Were they? Oh. Well, usually I see the Holsteins. But it's easy to get ripped off on livestock. Very easy. I got taken my first deal. I bought a herd of Black Angus hogs, right? I thought they looked short coming off the truck. Miniature cattle, my ass. And I've tried growing crops, but you'd find more cornrows on an NFL team than I could pull off my land, so forget it. I called the county extension agent in, Mr. Grimes. He comes out and he took water, soil samples, talked to me extensively about my background, told me the best thing for me to plant was a for sale sign in the front yard. So. Asshole. Thank God I get subsidies. Not from the government. Farmers on either side of me. They pay me not to try to grow anything, so. Anyway, okay. And what do you do for a living, miss? A nurse? What kind of nurse?
Endoscopy.
And endoscopy? Yes? Yeah. Huh. Can you get Percocet 15s? Huh? There's 2. If I any more than that, I throw up. Bleh. See me after the show. Meet me up with him. We're going to go out and look at some pamphlets in the car. And we'll do some Percocets. Endoscopy. Yeah, I had that done. And they said I was good shape. I was surprised. No polyps, no nothing, just nice. Yeah. I paid cash too. You know, there's a big deal for that. I shopped that. At the hospital, they wanted $4,000 to go in and do it. And then my endo guy said, well, we can do it right here in my office. It's $800. Right? I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Wow, that's screwed up. So we did it. He had a van anyway. That's where I got the hammer. I couldn't afford the twilight sleep. They just hit you once. Is it over? Anyway. So farming is very difficult. I would not suggest, I'm a curious person, and when you take farming up at 50, you better know some stuff, because you're always trying to learn. At least I don't get lost out there anymore. I used to get lost all the time out there in the country, but now once you realize that a satellite dish always grows on the south side of a house, you always find your way home. That's true. I've spent a little too much time in Southern Ohio, I think, sometimes. I've been here my whole life except for a 13-year stint in Hollywood. And I know that I've been out in Southern Ohio and out there on the farm, that it's starting to affect me, because my aunt called me recently about my other aunt, about a grandmother. And she had said, well, you know, your grandmother has diabetes. And what I heard was, Mama's got the sugars. And I thought, son of a bitch. Man, I gotta get in the city more. Jesus. Anyway. What do you with the leggings? What do you do for a living? You're an accountant? Do you dress like that at work? Huh? Really? You're like a kind of oddball. Yeah. Numbers. What are they really? Yeah. I bet you have a lot of problems with human resources, don't you? Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. Okay. Work for a Big 8 accounting firm? Not anymore. Okay. It's Big 4?
I work for one of them.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, rock on.
Yeah, rock on.
That was not, I would never see that in my office. It would be refreshing.
Really? Why? What would happen if you did?
Oh, she would be told that that's not the way they dress.
Really?
We hired
You know-
someone who had multiple earrings, and she was told that's not how we do things.
That's not how we do things? I tell you what, why don't you bring me in one day?
That go over real well.
Do you hire temp? I thought about taking a temp job, going to a temp place, because I've never worked in a corporate environment. And I thought it'd be kind of interesting, take a temp job where I could sit in one of those cubicles and just kind of see what's going on, and, you know?
You would come up with a lot of material.
No, I'd probably come out with pepper spray. I'd probably... What the fuck did you just say to me? You get the fuck out of my face, mister. Boss man. Yeah. Time is a man-made concept. Sure, it's 9 o'clock to you. Her and I are gonna go get high by the dumpster. Oh, God.
Drew Hastings for president.
Yeah. Drew Hastings for president. Wait a minute, that's back in here. Oh, no, it's not. Okay, well, I had hoped it was. Anyway, I got together back with my girlfriend, and I finally, I think I got a little bit over. I've always had commitment issues. I won't even use long-term parking at the airport, to be honest with you. That's pretty bad, so I had to get that in there. One thing I did this year, I've never done before. I thought I would plant a garden, and I planted a garden because, you know, it was in the news, and, you know, Michelle Obama did a garden, and then they were saying, well, you know, they're organic and so. But the biggest thing that caught my ear was you get vegetables at pennies a serving. And I'm like, son of a bitch. But actually, I think really I started gardening because, to be honest with you, I would rather be on my hands and knees groveling in the dirt than deal with my life. So I decided to start gardening. And I went out and I bought something called a flat. It had these little tomatoes and things in them and stuff. And I got back to my place, and I went in the kitchen. I got a big tablespoon, and I started digging plugs, I guess, out of the lawn. I put the plants in. Well, my neighbors come, whoa, what the hell you doing? You can't do that. You can't dig plugs out of the lawn and stick plants in there. You got to till the soil. And I said, well, I have no idea what that is. Well, you got to go get a rototiller. It'll cost you about 25 bucks a day. Well, now suddenly pennies a serving's up to quarters a serving. So I get this rototiller. I don't know if you know what a rototiller is. It's essentially a jackhammer that pulls you across your yard, tearing all of the upper musculature away from your skeletal frame in the process. So now I have to spend 3 days at home with fentanyl patches hanging on me and morphine lollipops I bought from a dealer buddy of mine up the road. I only do a half. You do a half of fentanyl, you let the other half hang. You'll get sick as shit. You do the whole. It's not important. Anyway. So about 3 days later, I come out and, how's my plants doing? And they're a little withery. And my girlfriend says, well, have you been watering them? And I said, well, no, how often do you have to water them? Well, every day. Well, Jesus, if I'd wanted that kind of demands put on me, I would have had children, for Christ's sake. So now I got to buy a hose and a sprinkler. And now I'm driving. I need bank financing to get this gardening project completed. So finally, okay, they're going. And about 5 or 6 weeks goes by, and they're growing. And I look out there one day, and there's rabbits. There's 2 rabbits out there munching, eating this shit, and starlings sitting out there. And I'm like, oh, shit. So I go into town. I go to the bank, and the lady at the bank always knows about this stuff. And so the lady at the bank told me, you need to get a scarecrow. Well, I'd already put away all my winter stuff. I wasn't going to build a scarecrow out of, you know, and I don't have time for mannequins or whatever. I said, anyway, the plants are already this big, so I thought, well, in my closet, I have a big box, about 80 or 100 Barbie dolls. I bought them for this, like, performance art project. You know, it's not important why I bought the Barbies. Anyway, I get the Barbies out. And in all the Barbies, some are missing an arm and some are missing a head. Well, there was a black Barbie in there. I'd never seen a black Barbie doll. I said, well, I'll use a black Barbie doll because you don't see many, particularly out in Hillsboro, Ohio, out in the farming community. I thought, put the Barbie doll out there. And it worked because the Barbie doll's about this tall and the plants were about that tall. I thought, okay, so I put it out there. So about 4 days later, I look out there again to see how this is faring. Well, there's actually a starling sitting on the Barbie doll's head, pecking, eating the tomatoes, and there are twice as many rabbits. So now I get pissed off. I get my coyote rifle, and I blow away one of those rabbits, and then I shoot one of those starlings, and then I shoot that damn Barbie for not doing her job. She has splinters. So anyway, I don't really sell merchandise after the show, but I do have quarts of tomatoes. I managed to get some of them early. I've got them out front. They're $65 a quart. I hope you'll pick one up. Anyway, that was the gardening fiasco. Do you garden?
Yes.
Do you?
Yes.
What do you grow?
Flowers.
Flowers?
Flowers, tomatoes, and peppers.
Really?
I have a very small yard.
That's okay. Do you go out there every day and do this stuff?
Yes.
You think there's a lot of comedy in workplace shootings? I've got about 3 pages on that. Let me just feel it out. Because I've never worked in a corporate environment. Is a workplace shooting like a snow day for adults? Because that's where we'd kick it off. If that's a little dark, I can go on to something else. Because it really is kind of a major thing against human resources and the whole, you know. And I know that bitch is under a desk somewhere, you know, that whole thing, you know, that. I mean, we don't have to go there. I can go on to some other stuff if you think that's a little too much. Oh, no, this is interesting. I don't know, you know, this one didn't even make the radar much on the news. I couldn't even believe this. Did you know that President Obama, about 3 weeks ago, came out and said that to protect the American workers, he was going to start vigorously enforcing overtime laws. And my first thought was, how about you just worry about the first 40 fucking hours, and we'll deal with anything after that. Now, you know, I get a lot of crap for stuff I say. First of all, I said something recently where somebody said, well, you don't like President Obama. That's a racial thing. That's, you know, you're one of those Tea Party guys. Yeah, I'm a Tea Party guy. And they say, that's a racial thing. It's because he's black. I said, no, it's not. First of all, I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio. I know black. President Obama is not black. He's Hootie the Blowfish black. You know, he's kind of Applebee's black. He's like the guy in the commercial high-fiving his buddy over the shrimp fiesta combo. I don't really consider him black. He's not like, hey, let's cross over the other side of the street. These motherfuckers look like trouble black. Don't fucking tell me. Fucking dickweeds. You know? It's just people jump on anything. The problem is I just don't give a shit anymore. That's what makes people dangerous. I don't give a shit anymore. I'm just a Gran Torino motherfucker anymore. I don't care. I just don't care. But you know, I caught some shit recently. I was doing a radio interview on the West Coast a while back here, and I do a radio interview, and there were about 4 or 5 of us in the studio. And I said that somebody said something, and somebody said something else. I said, oh, God, that is so gay. And the guy says, hey, you can't really say that. You really shouldn't say that. A gay, lesbian, differently gendered league. It doesn't want you saying that. It's considered demeaning. And I said, okay, but first of all, you have to understand, well, first of all, when I say that's so gay, really all I'm saying is you're acting like a damn queer. So just lighten up, for God's sakes. People, come on. People are just so thin-skinned anymore, I don't understand. And they're probably like that at the accounting firms, aren't they? But see, I'm self-employed. I could never have that kind of frustration like workplace shooting. They don't, when you're self-employed, a heckler would be a workplace shooter in my business. You know, somebody who has specifically targeted me for some perceived wrong and, you know, boom, you know. I'd have to shoot myself. You're right. You know, I like you. You've got a good sense of humor. You'd have to shoot yourself. You haven't gotten over that thing about your dad, have you? I've had it with the disabled. I'll be honest with you. I have fucking had it with the disabled. There are a lot of disabled people, truly disabled people out there. And I'm not demeaning disabled people. But, you know, I walk from my mall out to the car. I pass by disabled parking spaces. I look in the disabled parking space. There's a car sitting there. And I look, and in the front seat, there's 2 tennis rackets, a pair of running shoes. And this is the point I'm making, is we have diluted, lowered the bar so far on what disabled is in this country. It's just bullshit. Anybody can get a sticker that, well, I've got a phosphorus imbalance. My vagina's puffy. Yeah, yeah. I had buddies in Nam, got their leg blown off. They have to compete with a puffy vagina girl for a parking spot. It's just, you know, at the risk of sounding harsh, you know, I think we need to get a grip in this country, get some common sense. Maybe redefine disabled and give it the same definition that the Supreme Court has for pornography. You know it when you see it. That works. You look at disabled and you go, Jesus Christ. There, but for the grace of God go I. And I know some of you are as bad as me. Some of you have sat there in a parking lot somewhere and said, well, look at her pulling in that disabled spot. I don't even see anything wrong with her. She doesn't even limp. Probably one of those bullshit mental disabilities. Who says you can't walk across the mall parking lot just because you're crazy? Anyway, you have another voice in your head to encourage you. Come on, let's go, we can do this. Come on, we're almost there. Let's go to the main entrance. They have disabled parking spots, I kid you not. They have disabled parking spots in the front of the gym. What the fuck? If you need a disabled thing to get, you don't belong in the gym, you belong in physical therapy. We've spent billions. I've watched, I'm 55 years old. I've watched for 30 years. We spent billions of dollars cutting a handicap access on every curb in every street corner in America. And all we've done is create a giant skateboard park, inadvertently causing even more disabilities. So I don't know. What do I know? Anyway. Special needs, that's another one. Now that's a hot button topic there, special needs. But I'll tell you something, people. Now you're a teacher, right? Special needs. Now hasn't the definition of that gotten a little screwy? Like I know a parent who put their kid in special needs because they were allergic to peanuts. Is that right? You can do that? Now that's bullshit, I think. Really, because when you think about if I say, his child has special needs, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Go on, say it, Teach. Retarded. Say it, retarded. Retarded. Let it roll off your tongue. Retarded. There's nothing wrong with the word. I'm not demeaning anybody who's retarded. It's not funny. Why are you laughing at retarded people? For God's sakes, look at you. God, I try to have a little civil discourse and you laugh at the poor retarded. He can't help it, his child's retarded. I'm sorry you have to deal with this Serbian callousness. Yeah. But the point is, we've broadened special needs so much. All we're doing is making it a situation where you have to make the short bus longer. We're creating so many. Look, the bottom line is I have special needs. I'm a special needs person, but I go on Craigslist to deal with them. So, anywho. Oh, my record label, Image, recently required me, set out an edict, and required me that I have to sell, because I don't sell merchandise after my shows. I don't like to mess with it. They told me that I have to start selling merchandise. So I have a DVD for sale. One DVD. I bring one fucking DVD to meet with my contractual obligation. If you want it, there it is. That's the only one I've got. So see me after the show, or a teller, or a teller. Wow, we're not a bank. See a customer service representative, and okay. Whatever. Jesus. Anyway. So, and what do you do for a living, endoscopy spouse person? What do you do?
I'm an
IT guy. That's interesting. That's a weird. You play? What do you play? Guitar? What kind of guitar do you play? Like gypsy jazz. Is that acids? What is that? Gypsy. Oh, Django Reinhardt. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's like, he's old school. Yeah. Huh? He's old? He's not that old. Huh? Is he? Not as old as your dad, no. If the show goes any longer, I'm not sure your dad's gonna be. No, just kidding. Anyway, I would encourage any of you who are looking for a lifestyle change to take up farming. It is very self-sufficient. I can personally say that being in the beef cattle business, I have what's called a cow-calf operation, which means I have cows, impregnate them, and they have little calves. I personally recommend the cattle business because you lose money at a slower rate, and the hemorrhaging isn't as bad in the farming. So you might want to look at that. I also have joined, there are a lot of organizations you can join. I joined a group to find out more about farming called the FFA. This is called the Future Farmers of America. They looked at me like I was a pedophile. How was I supposed to know? You're supposed to be a teenager when you join this group. Now I gotta wear this fucking ankle bracelet for another year. So, I don't have kids. It's hard to farm without children, and it is. Yeah, it is. And now I realize why farmers always had large families. If for no other reason than you have a lot of kids to cut up your land and sell it to developers. But And I still think about having children. I still, but I'll tell you why. I go to estate sales a lot. I like to go to those estate sales. And I go to them, and they always depress me because I'm like, well, next up, Mr. Bill Smith's items. There's 4 cardboard boxes of shit. And it's like, God, what's my life going to be? I don't want that to be me. Just everything I've worked for, and it's just, next up, Hastings. A bunch of unfinished written shit and some hair products and some inflammatory political material we've got here. So next up, what do I give? So anyway, so I think about having children, and I'll tell you what scares me. Scientists just came out. Now, a parent would, I guess, know this. Scientists just came out and said a child, by the time he's age 7, his personality is almost fully formed. Is that true, you think? Yes. See, that's what scares me. To think that maybe you could have a kid and he's 7 years old, and what if he turns out to be an asshole? And you're like, I still gotta feed and clothe this prick for another 10, 11 years? Fuck, I got a loser. That's gotta kill a parent. Oh. But anyway, something really hit me hard recently and made me see the light about having children. And I don't mean to get religious, I don't mean to get spiritual, whatever on you guys, but I was in Atlanta, Georgia about 2 years ago, and I'm sitting outside a coffee house, and walking right by me on the sidewalk was this adorable little 4, maybe 5-year-old girl with her mother. She stops right in front of my table like it was meant to be. She looks up at her mom and she says, Mommy, you know what my 3 favorite colors are? And I was just, oh God. And the mother looks down and says, no, darling, what are they? And they just kept walking up the sidewalk, and I had a lump in my throat, and I thought, there, that's been my problem all along. You see, I don't give a fuck what your 3 favorite colors are. Oh, I'm not sure I care about one of them. And don't get me wrong, don't think I didn't feel bad. I felt horrible. Fuck. What's wrong with me? Why aren't I like everybody else? Where's my parental instinct I'm supposed to have? Shit. What if I have a child and I still have that attitude, right? I mean, really. And then I talk to married couples all the time, and they said, no, you won't, Drew. You know what? It's different when you have your own. Really? What if it's not? Huh? What's that? Oh, that's very pretty. Well, what did you attempt to draw there? Yeah. Well, why don't you go tape that up on the damn refrigerator, okay? Oh, don't touch me. Oh, God, you've got something sticky all over your hand. Oh, never touch me. Mm-mm. What is your name again? Drewina. So, I don't know. How do we end up like that? Our attitude about anything in life, I guess. The way we're raised, has to be, I think. Overheard myself not long ago talking out loud at home to my cat. Who vomited on the rug and just left it there? I know I certainly didn't do it. I don't eat mouse heads. You just want to crouch there staring at me, mouth agape? You want to go back to shelter? I'll send you right back to the damn shelter. And then I stop and listen to myself. Oh, Drew, listen to you. Poor little thing. Here you are all cold, unaffectionate. I sound exactly like my mom. That's the way my mother is. Distant, aloof, condescending. English. I told you my mother's English. Yeah. Anybody here a child of English parents? Yes? See, one. Very few of us even survive. I'm surprised you know. My mother's a gargoyle with tits. Oh, she was something else. She was. If she were any more thick-skinned, she'd have an exoskeleton. God. You know, but that's the way we are, right? You know, I think as a result of our parents. My mom was very intimidating. Come closer, child, where I can see you. I won't hurt you. Not that there weren't happy times. I can remember happy times. I can remember being very young. I was laying in a crib, and my mom she'd come in at night to pick me up, and she'd reach down very quietly. She'd reach down to pick me up with her talons, and she'd say, in an English accent, of course. Very Tilda Swinton-like. So I hope you've had a great time here tonight, because I've had a lot of fun tonight. I think we've made a little progress. We've made a little whatever. We've had fun. I've had fun. Live performance, that's what it's all about. I love live performance. Ever occur to you, sir, that finding the clitoris on a woman is a lot like trying to find the hole in a Starbucks lid when you're driving? You can't really look for it. You just gotta keep flicking your tongue around till you eventually stumble across it. Oh, there it is. On that note, you've been great. I've been Drew Hastings, and thank you so much for coming out. All of you, for the first time, those of you who've been out to see me a number of times, you have a lot of places you can spend your time and money, and I'm honored you chose to spend it here. Thank you.
Keep it going for Drew Hastings, everyone. Thanks for coming out tonight. I wanted to make one announcement. At McLeavy's Pub across the street when you go out the door there's a DJ tonight, no cover, $5 mini bombs and $2 domestic pints. So check that out. And please drive safely. And I'll be out there selling my T-shirt. And one more time for Drew Hastings, everybody. Have a good night.
gotta do